What up, team? Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to a little agency therapy. Hope you guys are crushing the week so far. I just got a new tattoo. It kind of hurts, but it's here. So I don't know which way to turn here. Kind of dope. Kind of dope. You guys will see pictures of it later. Anyway, jumping in, you guys. We've got a good one for you today. Talking building a vivid vision for 2024. If you guys have ever read the book Vivid Vision by Cameron Harold, would highly recommend it. And towards the end of the year, this is what I love talking about the most is talking about building out vision for 2024. What does the long-term vision of our business or agency look like? And I wanted to bring it early because normally I do this like late Q4 whenever I talk about like vision building or planning for 2024. But I know a lot of you are entering into this season, especially if you own like an e-com agency or maybe you're an e-commerce brand listening in, and you're generally in the e-com space. A lot of times it's really hard to plan during this time, right? You got Black Friday, Cyber Monday coming up. Team is all hands on deck. You guys are all hands on deck. We're putting a lot of time and attention into the quality of our fulfillment currently, which is exactly where your time and energy should be going right now anyway. So, with that being said, I wanted to bring this to your attention now, let you get through Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and let this be something that is on your radar for the end of the year. Okay. So we'll do the training now. You'll have the access to it. And then you could start thinking and get your mind wrapped around exactly how you want to plan out and how you want to build a vision for 2024. You guys see my cat back here just scratching away at the cat tree. I love it. All right. So let me do a little share screen. We will hop right into it today. We're not going to waste any time. Let's go. Hopefully you guys can see that. Give me a little thumbs up in the chat if you guys can see that. Okay. Let's hop in and take a peek here. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Gonna move you guys over to the other side of the screen. If you guys have questions as I go through this, feel free to jump in. You guys know how it rolls, okay? And if you guys aren't familiar, if this is the first time viewing agency therapy or attending an agency therapy, then well, one, welcome. I'm super happy that you're here and glad that we can share all the goodness with you guys. Casalino in the building. What's up, Chris? Hope you're doing well, man. Hope you had an awesome day. I hear you guys have been on a closing streak as of recent. So excited for you, man. That's super fun. Hold on. For some reason, my share screen, give me 2 seconds here, being a little funky. Give me 2 seconds. Just have to reload my screen. Um, all right, there we go. There we go. Now we're locked and loaded. Good to go. Is that it? Okay. All right. Good to go. So, you guys, if you're not familiar with this book, Vivid Vision, highly recommended. Go check it out. It is worth your time and investment that you will actually go and read this. So, if you're wanting a little bit more in depth, if you're wanting to spend some hours diving into your vision and how to lay it out exactly, would highly recommend this book. Cameron Harold was the past COO of 1-800 Got Junk. Took that business from multiple 8 figures to 9 figures, an absolute legend in the operating space, but wrote this book and is one of my favorites on my bookshelf to date. And this really breaks into 5 sections for us. And I'm going to walk through each of these 5 sections, relatively simple training today, but 5 main parts that will kind of break our vision down into today. And then what I would love is assign you guys some homework and have you guys actually go build out your vision and then come back and send it to me, show it to me. I would love to review. I'd love to take a peek at it if you do build this out at a certain point in time. So the first part that we're going to be chatting about today is reflection. Okay. So anytime that we are building out a vision, a great place to start or a great place to start generating ideas is going to be in reflection. And so simply looking at your agency or your business as a whole and saying, well, where are we currently at? And a couple questions that you can kind of use to prime the pump on this one is what is the current state of your agency or current state of your ecom brand or current state of your business as a whole. Okay. What have been some of our biggest challenges to date? Okay. Once again, we're kind of just priming the pump for building a vision out. And then what have been the successes of our business so far? And you can even take it down to what have been some of the failures of the business, things like that, right? So where are you at currently? So we're gonna just start priming the pump. We're gonna reflect where we've been because where we've been is going to tell us a couple different things. One, where we don't want to go, and where we want to lean in and continue to build more. So, priming the pump here with a little bit of reflection is going to be really important, right? Peter, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Building the vision for 2024. We're making it happen, brother. Um, Second question that I want you guys to utilize here to kind of get in the mindset of building vision is what have been some of the key takeaways? So we'll dissect of like, hey, where are we currently at? But what have been some of the key takeaways, especially in the past year? What has worked? What hasn't worked? Okay. And when you go and take these takeaways, you're going to find a lot of things that have worked and a lot of things that haven't worked for the business. And it's going to give you a little bit clearer insight on directions that you should push and pull the business and strategies that you should implement and lean into more in 2024. And then maybe strategies or things that you've tried that didn't work as well that you need to lean back or reassess. Okay. So we're going to be writing down some key takeaways here. Okay. And after we've done a little bit of reflection, then we can move forward into the actual vision building itself. But in order for us to really build out the best vision possible, well, we have to have a good idea of where we've been. Okay. And that will lead us into our second part, which is talking about envision or envisioning the business as a whole. And one of my favorite exercises from this book Cameron Harold wrote is the time travel exercise. And if it were December 31st, 2024, what does your agency or business look like? So for a year and a month into the future, what does the business look like? What does it feel like? What is it known for? What does the team look like? And you can even stack in more questions here. These were just three general ones that I put together. But what does it look like? What does it feel like? What are you guys known for? What does your team look like? Do you have office? Do you not have an office? Are you guys remote? Well, like what happens throughout 2024? And go deep here. Okay. And do this little time travel exercise because I think it's one kind of fun to think future facing. I'm like, hey, this is what we're going to become as a business. We're going to speak into it. The second aspect is going to be a little bit more in depth, and we consider this a component breakdown. Give me 2 seconds. I got to let my cat out. Otherwise, she's going to start freaking out at me. What? You want to go outside? Go. Go. All the way. All right. Here we go. Back in it. Back in it. All right. So, component breakdown. The first thing that we're going to start breaking down is the culture and the values of the business. So, describe your ideal culture and the core values. And if you don't have core values, well, guess what, guys? We've done this exercise before and it lives somewhere in this mural board. I don't know where. Redefining core values right here. So if you guys need help building out some core values, then go back to part 16 where we talk about redefining core values. Okay. But zooming back in here. Okay. Culture and values. So describe what your culture will look like. So this is not what it currently looks like. Describe what you want it to look like because we're setting the future pace of the organization. Second is going to be clientele. What types of clients are you guys working with? Are you working with smaller brands? Are you working with larger? Are you moving north in the types of clients that you're working with? Maybe you're working with 6 and 7 figure ecom brands right now, but you really want to be working with 8 and 9 figure ecom brands. Okay. So think about that. What types of clients do you actually want to be working with? What type of clients do we actually want to be working with? Okay. After that, services. Envision the services you offer and the innovations your team is making. Okay. Do you guys need to make innovation? What services are you running? Do you need to stack new services on top to have a more in depth full service offering? Do you need to pull services away? Services that don't even make sense for what your actual offering is. Okay? So what can be added, what can be taken away? What innovations do you need to make? Changes, new people that you need to bring in to make these services better. Okay? What services are you offering? And then in the physical space side of things, and this is really only relevant if you want to actually have a work environment. But if relevant to you guys, describe your working environment. Do you guys have an office? Are you remote? If you're remote, what does your office look like remotely? But also, what does your team's offices look like? Do they have really awesome work environments that they can utilize on a daily basis? Because if you're working from home every day, your work environment needs to be as exciting as if you were in office, right? So, if relevant, describe your working environment. And then from there, we move into market position. You guys know I love a little market leader positioning. Okay. I want to see detail on our current positioning in the marketplace and in the industry and where we want to take it. And you guys, there's a whole market leader positioning exercise. It's one of the first lessons I ever did in here because I think it's so important, and it's why you guys hear me talk about it all the time. But this market leader positioning and niching down exercise, really effective. Would highly recommend going through here. There's a lot of good detail. Very first lesson that I ever did on this agency therapy. So go check that out at some point if you haven't yet. Now, after we move from market leader positioning, then we go into financial goals. And this is not how you spell goals, but that is. Okay. And when you're talking about financial goals, you could talk about specific revenue, profit, growth targets, things like that. Chances are you probably have certain KPIs that you're tracking more than others. So if you're running paid ads for your agency to get clients, well, that's probably something specific or data specific that you need to talk about when it comes to your financial goals, right? Because you need to know what your customer acquisition cost is, ideally what it would be, right? So we need to set financial goals outside of the general ones like revenue, profit, growth. But depending on the size of your business, the data that you collect will probably be slightly different, right? If you have a large sales team, you're going to need to know sales data. If you have a very large business, 7, 8 figure business, well, you're going to need to probably pull down more financial numbers than just revenue profit. So think about the financial goals, think about the finances behind the business. What specifically do the targets look like for all the important data points of your business? Let's talk about team. What's your team structure? What's the size of your team? What are the skill sets that the team are actually going to need in order to get to that level, right? Because as you guys know, as we expand team, it becomes one more difficult to manage people, but also we need to fill skill gaps because not everyone is going to be skilled as you, especially if you are heading fulfillment currently or you have a small team leading fulfillment, but you need to bring more team on. Well, we need to uphold the standard. So, what do the skill sets look like on your team? What's the structure look like? Do we have an organizational chart? Do we know what our future facing organizational chart looks like and what the structure of the team will look like a year from now? Okay. These are all things that we should be planning ahead of time because if we don't plan them ahead of time, then we're not going to have a roadmap to get where we want to go. And this is the whole point of us doing vision building in the first place is that we're building a roadmap for where we want to go over the next year or over the next 5, 10 years, right? And without that roadmap, we're kind of just wandering and hoping that the pieces come together. Peter Sayed, when looking at team, I'm breaking it down by hours required to fulfill the tasks of the service delivery. Is that a good way to approach it? So absolutely, you can talk about your deliverable hours for sure, and how long it takes to deliver on specific services or specific projects that you guys have kind of laid out. So yeah, that can be a data point that you address on the financial side of how billable is our team, and we talk a lot about billable hours. But how billable is the team? How much capacity do they have, and are they at a minimum 65, 70% billable, right? Now, we like to flow upwards of like 75%, and then that or 75, 80%, and then that extra 20% internal meetings, trainings, things like that. There's some waste in there as well. But if we can get our team to 70, 75% billable, we're going to be in a really good spot. Okay. After team, okay, technology, anticipate softwares, tools that you'll need to utilize. And here's the thing is this one doesn't change a whole lot, especially as you get to a certain size business. It's like, hey, this is kind of our tech stack and what we're rolling with. But if you anticipate needing to use new software, if you need to change CRMs, okay, what is the tech stack going to look like? Because here's the thing is your tech is I wouldn't say equally as important, but it's close to as important as what your team structure will look like, of how your tech stack will eventually lay out, and all the tools that you'll need, all the tools that your team will need in order to be the most effective in their position. And then the last piece, my favorite piece, and we talk about impact a decent amount on agency therapy, is articulate the impact you aim to have on the community, the industry, whatever it is that you're building towards. Your team needs to be aligned in the mission of who you hope to impact, the mission that you guys are on. If you guys are moving towards more charitable organization, great, that's awesome, we love that. Okay, lay that out in a vision. What impact are you going to have on, whether it's your internal community with your clients and your team? Maybe you guys are doing more local community efforts, right? What does that impact look like with your team? Okay. So that's the envision part. And honestly, this is the hardest part of building out a vivid vision, is actually taking the time and going into enough depth and detail to flush all of these things out. But once we do flush all of these things out, it does allow us to move to part three, which is bringing it to life, right? Now, relatively simple here. The first step of this is just action planning, right? Converts the vision that you guys kind of laid out into all of these multiple steps, and convert that vision into actionable steps and strategies, right? So, say you're wanting to, you did $500,000 this year in your business, and next year you want to do 1 million. Well, what are the actionable steps and strategies that need to go behind what our goals are for 2024? Because it's not just going to magically happen where you're just at $1 million. Well, maybe we need to implement a new lead gen strategy. Well, what does that look like? How many leads are we actually going to need? How many sales calls are we going to need in order to close enough clients to hit $1 million next year? Well, we could backtrack all of that, right? We reverse engineer how we do this. And any goal or target that you are setting for 2024, we need to be able to reverse engineer that and actually bring it down to the nitty-gritty actions and the strategies needed to accomplish that goal, right? Because it's all fine and dandy to say, like, yeah, I want to make $1 million. Everyone wants to make $1 million. I think that's on everyone's entrepreneur checklist. Make $1 million. Okay, but how? Okay. How does it happen? How does it break down? How many clients do you need? Okay, if you need this many clients, how many sales calls do you need to take to get that many clients? Right? So make sure you guys are reverse engineering some of this action planning. Okay, it's great to set goals. I love goals. Okay, but goals are just pie in the sky pipe dreams. Okay, we need to understand how to get there. Um, Peter, you mentioned, for example, each client gets 4 split tests per month. I'm budgeting hours for each of those tests, and then assuming each team member will work 120 hours per month of 100% focused effort. So 120 hours per month. Let's take a peek here. Okay, 120 hours per month. Yeah, that sounds roughly about right. Um, and then you send another message. Then I divide the number of hours required divided by 120 to get the number of team members that I'll need. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You could reverse engineer it into those numbers. So if you think it's going to take you 120 hours, okay, there's a couple things you can also do. You could also try and figure out, hey, how do we take this 120 hours and minimize it? How do we get the same amount of work done with 90 hours, right? So we could think about that as well as we're going through some vision building and how we're going to be the most effective and efficient team possible. Now, if you're saying, Josh, this is exactly the amount of time it's going to take, it will not like this number won't budge. This is what it's actually going to take. Because here's the thing is like we never get 100% focused effort out of our team. But if we have a little wiggle room there, yeah, for sure. That can back into it for sure. So that checks out on my side. Um, all right. So after we do some action planning, we're going to set some milestones. Okay. So what does it look like in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4? And revenue is a really easy one to set milestones for. So chances are you're not going to go from $500,000 to $1 million just overnight, right? Or you're not going to be at $1 million run rate overnight. Okay. Because we'll say you're at 40K per month, a little bit over 80K is the $1 million run rate. Um, but you're not going to get to 80K run rate overnight, which means that you're going to need to grow from 40K per month to 80K per month. But you're going to have to grow past 80K per month to hit $1 million by the end of the year, right? And so you'll have to tier the growth of the business past 80K per month, right? Because you won't hit 80K per month until I'm sorry, you won't hit $1 million per year until you get past that pivotal moment of hitting that $1 million run rate. But then you're gonna have to track 12 months in a row to hit $1 million within 12 months, right? So you have to grow past 80K per month because the first few months you might be at 40K and then 45 and then 55 and then 60 and 70, right? But it's below the threshold of $1 million. So we're going to have to grow past $83,000 per month in order to surpass $1 million run rate. So you need to know what those milestones look like and how it tracks. Okay, so set milestones, really important. And then put a communication plan in place. Okay, you're gonna do all of this work. Okay, you're gonna do all of this work. You're gonna put so much time into this vision. You're gonna do all this action planning. You're gonna set milestones. But where most people fall short is putting together a communication plan and discussing how you're going to communicate the vision internally with the team and how it will be perceived externally to the marketplace. And so don't do all of this work if you're not going to communicate it to the team and if you're not going to align the team with the vision that you're going to push out. Okay. Make sure that your team knows, your clients know exactly where you're going and what you're building as a business. I think it's important, especially for the team. If you're not going to do it externally, at least do it internally because the team has to know where we're going. Once again, goes back to that roadmap example. We don't have the roadmap. We're not going to get to the destination. Uh, oh, Peter said, make sure to, what's happening right now? Make sure to factor in client churn when making your plans. 100%. Yeah, got to factor in churn. You're not going to keep all your clients, right? So make sure you factor in a little bit of churn. And this is something that you guys should be tracking, but whatever your targets are, you're going to have to go a little bit north of that target. Because Peter makes an excellent point here. We're going to have churn. Churn is inevitable. We're going to lose some clients. Okay. So factor that into the equation. Part four, commitment and alignment. So once you kind of have a rollout plan or communication plan for this, well, then we're going to get aligned as a team and make sure that every team member understands and is aligned with exactly where we're going and what we're building inside of this business. And once we're aligned, then we get commitment. Then we get commitment. And we want to have each of our teammates express their commitment to the vision and their role in achieving it. Okay. And really it comes into the role of achieving it. I don't need my team to say that they're bought into the vision. I will see that through actions on a daily basis. So we don't need them. We're not going to go in a circle and be like, "Are you committed to the vision of this business?" Okay, we're not doing that. Okay, we're going to be able to recognize that. But are they committed to the role in achieving it? So when we go to the team and we talk about this vision, well, we need to get buy-in into their role and help them understand how their role helps us achieve what we're going for. So if you have a creative team, for example, they need to know their role in achieving the new revenue goal. They need to understand the commitment in their role in the business and how important it is for you guys to be able to do this because you can't do it alone. You're going to need team. So they have to know their role in achieving what you guys are shooting for. Nick Lauer in the building. Let's go, my dude. I hear you're crushing it right now. The little bird told me that things are going well for the short form empire. Peter, sending this video to my agency CEO clients. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, dude, of course. Enjoy. Send it to whoever you want. Send it to your mother-in-law. She can build out a vivid vision for her life. It'd be great. All right, part 5, documentation. So once we have commitment alignment, we want to move into documentation and create some sort of vivid vision document. And I've seen people do this in like a PDF or just even a Google Doc. But you want something that is going to encapsulate your vivid vision, right? And normally it's going to talk about just like, hey, this is where the team is going. This is where what we're building towards. But I have one slightly better, which is a visual representation and something that you should build inside of Miro. Okay. And you could build this inside of Miro and you can make it look really great. And here's the thing, guys, I haven't updated this in some time, and I'll share with you a little bit of the Hydra vision here in a second. But if you want to really bring it to life, put some visual representation behind it. Okay. Get some photos. Okay. What does the new office look like? What does the team look like? What does our service offering look like? And I have to do I have to do this exercise again this year because our vision has changed a decent amount, right? So, uh, here, let me show you guys real quick. I'll show you a little bit. This is a little outdated, so I have to go back and update this. I didn't have time before this stream, but you can start to put together some cool stuff, right? Now that document I talked about, that's here, okay? We talk about the culture, we talk about growth, stewardship, high achievement. We talk about that we are a team with courage, right? And so, with this being said, you can put together a little document that talks about your culture, and you can give a quick history lesson on why we're named what we're named. We could talk about what our HQ is going to look like in 2024, right? And lay it all out, make it visual. Like, look at this turf field. Are you kidding? Like, why would you not want to work in a place that has this, right? So put this into a map for yourself, guys, right? And that's a small example. Like here's our vision flywheel as well, right? Of like all the different offers and things that we're bringing to the table for our clients, what we're gonna build in the future. Okay, and this is a little outdated. At some point, I will share this more in depth. At some point, okay. But I wanted to give you guys a little visual representation of what it could look like. And that's all I got for you guys today. What questions do we have? What questions do we have? Building the vision. Lauer said, got a clear vision for 2024 and 2025 with the agency, so just prepping the vessel. Absolutely, man. Watching this at Walmart. Man, why you at Walmart? Why you at Walmart, bro? What other questions do we have? Peter, how many years should I design at once? 1, 3? So I always like to do the next year, and then normally I'll do like a 5-year. Some people do a 10-year. I think a lot changes in 10 years. So I normally do 1 and 5. That's kind of the cadence for me of like how far out I go. What up, Shane? Long time, brother. Hope you're doing well. What is your best advice for setting a plan of rapid growth, but also not knowing how it will play out? Yeah, well, that's the thing, man, is like you never actually know. I don't think anyone actually knows how it's going to play out. But part of this action plan and putting this together and doing things like projections and reverse engineering how we're going to get to our lofty goals, and especially if you're wanting rapid growth, well, the more you plan for that and the more clear you can get on how to reverse engineer, like even down to the like to how many cold outbounds do we have to send to even get this many calls? Or what concentration of our leads are going to come from cold outbound? How many are going to come from referrals? How many are going to come from paid ads or whatever lead gen source, right? So the more detailed you can get on something like that, the better action plan that you're going to put in place. And those action plans tend to have the fastest rate of growth, right? So get into the nitty gritty detail. Do not be afraid of it. You have to understand what it's going to take you to get to whatever your rapid growth goal is, right? So, say you want to hit $10 million over the next year. How? And keep asking how until you can't anymore, right? So, your plan is to get to $10 million. How many clients do we need? Well, we need this many clients on this service. We need this many clients on this service. Okay, cool. Well, we know we need this many clients. We currently have this many. So we need to add an additional 25 clients over the next year. But we're going to suffer a little bit of churn, right? Churn is inevitable, especially in the agency space. So we'll probably have to go back, calculate what the churn was, and say we had a 5% churn rate over the year. Okay, 5% churn rate. We got to factor that in. So we're going to have to get a net new, say 28 clients, 20 or 30 clients, right? Whatever that difference is. Okay, well, from those 30 clients, well, how many phone calls do we actually need to have in order to do that? Well, what was our close rate? Close rate was 50%. You guys are knocking it out of the park this year. Wow, okay. Well, we're gonna essentially need to have, if we need 30 clients, we're gonna have to take 60 qualified calls. Well, how many of our calls were qualified? Right? See how in depth we can actually go in this? That's the level that this takes. And if you want to see the rapid growth, you have to know those numbers in and out. Hopefully that answers your question, Shane. But as far as like best advice for setting a plan of rapid growth, it comes down to knowing exactly the numbers you have to hit to get there. See you, Lauer. Should I just build the plan and follow through regardless? What do you mean, man? I guess, yeah, dude, build the plan and follow through. Like that's the whole idea behind this. Like we don't build the plan to sit on the sidelines, right? Build the plan, follow through. It is nitty gritty. Um, it that's why it takes time, and it's gonna take some effort. But this is where I like a 2 to 3 day retreat out into the mountains, out into the woods, someplace that you can get away and think and do these types of exercises. And the more you practice it, the first time you do it, it'll be okay, right? Like you'll do an okay job, and hopefully that what I showed you guys today on the Miro board will be somewhat beneficial and helpful in that process. But you guys, like this is an exercise that you need to do every single year, and it's you get better as you do it more, right? I will say that. So the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. I'm going to share the Miro board link, guys, real quick. That way you guys have access to it. Um, so there's that. Enjoy. If you don't have access to it yet. Good questions, though. Any other ones? Comments, questions, concerns, epiphanies, takeaways? You guys got anything else for me? I don't know if the questions from LinkedIn are coming through. Let's take a peek here. Anything else? All good if not. Shane said, I guess what I mean is if I only hit 10% of my goal, then when do I pivot and accept that for some reason I didn't hit the goal? Just thinking out loud. Yeah, man. I mean, there is such thing as like, I guess, too ambitious, but I would rather hit 10% of my lofty goal than 10% of my like, oh yeah, I think I can hit this. Right. So if you want to hit 10 million, right? And you hit 1,000,000 instead. Okay. But what if your goal is 1,000,000 and you only hit 10% of that, right? So I'm cool with the lofty goals. I'm great, but know the effort and energy and what it's going to take to actually hit that. And normally after you break it down and go into the detail of what it actually takes to get there, you'll be able to look at that most likely and say, maybe a little bit too much. But I would rather fall short of a very lofty goal and only hit a certain percentage of it than fall short of or set too small of a goal and fall short of that, or even hit it and not exceed what was kind of expected of me. So I'm always setting goals that are a little bit lofty or a little bit ahead of my knowledge or a little bit ahead of our team. It's what we consider like stretch goals, right? It's like, of course, it's going to stretch us. Will we hit it? Yeah. I mean, if we get really good, if we're really dialed in, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Um, but that's also where like doing like monthly projections, where we're going to be, right? Things like that. All of that comes into play as you're working towards this grand vision that you've laid out for yourself, right? Because there's a difference between goals and projections. Goals are kind of like, hey, like this is what we're shooting for, North Star goal or like stretch goal, right? Goals are just hopes, hopes and ambitions. That's all goals are. Projections are like, hey, this is from the data, this is what we'll hit. This is what we expect to hit, right? Then there's a difference, and you should set goals, but you should also set projections. Projections are always very data backed, which goals should be data backed as well, but projections are specific to the growth trajectory of the business. And sometimes our projections fall behind what our goals are, right? If we have a bad month, it pulls us behind what the actual goal is for the year, right? So you have to adjust those projections. And sometimes you adjust the goals based off of the projections. It is a balancing game, but one worth playing. Hopefully that answered your question. Okay, Shane. Anything else, guys? Any buzzer beaters? Last minuters? Yeah. Differentiate the two. Goals versus projections. Love it, team. Yes, thank you so much for tuning in to Agency Therapy this week. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Next week we'll be back with something. I don't know what yet, but we're bringing something next week. And I'm stoked for it. And we'll hopefully see you there. We do this every Wednesday. So if you guys are enjoying this content, if you're enjoying the information, we do this every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Tyler's here. And we hope to see you guys there. Real quick, if you wouldn't mind, like, subscribe to the channel. And if you're subscribed, click the notification bell so you can see when we go live. That way you don't forget and you can get all the great information. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one.